Seafood isn't just a dish, it's a global story. The Decoding Seafood by Moe podcast series explores the science, sustainability, and surprising truths behind the seafood you love, straight from the voices of those shaping the industry. From chefs, scientists, influencers, and insiders who live and breathe seafood and uncover what most of us never see. Hosted by Chef George Duran, you can find Decoding Seafood here on your favorite platform and at Moe Salmon TV on YouTube.
Welcome back to Decoding Seafood by Moe. I'm your host, George Duran. I'm excited to introduce our guest today. It's Ben DeCocker, the creative force behind Dad Food Today. Ben, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good, how are you? Thank you so much.
All right, Ben, tell us more about yourself so all the viewers out there know who you are.
Okay, so first of all, I'm a husband, I'm a father. I got 4 little boys. I'm located in upstate New York. And how did I get started? So that was about 10 years ago. I traveled the world. This was all after college. And then I met my wife in Australia. And then I was in the Philippines, and I was approached by a Filipino brand and say, hey, can you advertise my little GoPro little piece on your channel? I said, sure. So I didn't really know how this influencer life works, but that's how it all kind of I kind of got a glimpse, like, okay, this is how it works. So I got approached by, my account grew. I have 3 different accounts. I have Dad's Food Today, Time at Homes, and Time of Society. I started out as a travel blogger, and then ended up being a food blogger. And then after food blogger, ended up having my DIY homes account. So yeah, so I got approached by cruise companies, by tourism boards, by airlines, by culinary schools. I went to a bunch of events. And then
at what point, so it sounds like at a certain point, you had to grow your following enough that you could say, hey, I could start monetizing with this. I can start becoming a real influencer.
Right.
What was that point where you were like, oh my gosh, something's working here?
Yeah. So basically, as soon as I got a lot of, inquiries by these huge brands and huge tourism boards, I saw there's a huge potential to make money. So I kind of quit everything and went full time as a content creator. And that was kind of like my tipping point as an influencer. So as
Amazing.
soon as yeah.
I think what's really inspiring here is that you really started slowly, but it's almost like you were patient. It wasn't like you made an embarrassing move online and then you suddenly had 1 million followers. You grew your audience. Yeah,
everything was pretty gradual. Nothing was overnight. It took me a long time to understand social media. It's not an overnight success. It was a lot of unpaid hours. Probably took me about a year just to get to a certain, good point where I can say, okay, now I'm confident. I can just keep going with my account, and more brands approach me, and now I can't even keep up. I'll be honest.
So I'm interested because during that full year where you weren't making any money and you were trying to build your profile, your reputation, your followers, how did you pay the rent? How did you pay the utility bills?
This was all during college. So I was prepping before I graduated. I was prepping to basically become one day full-time content creator. So I went all in. It was a high risk move, but I did it, and it paid off.
Yeah, and that led you to where you are now. I assume eventually meeting your wife. You have 4 boys, but a lot of your content is also geared on how to feed the 4 kids.
Right.
What are some great ideas what are some things that you learned by feeding 4 boys as they're growing older?
Yeah, so all of my kids they're pretty good eaters. I have one piggy eater too, but what I did, since they're able to sit in a high chair, I gave them like different foods, specialty foods, sauerkraut, kimchi, like stuff you would never imagine a baby would eat. But because of doing all these like introductions to, healthy, fermented, specialty foods, they're not picky eaters anymore, except that one child I have. He's weird about textures, but I have tricks for that too. Like you can make, if they don't like certain foods, you can make smoothies, and you can sneak in some healthy veggies, or you can like for example, seafood, if they don't like that fishy flavor, you can, add in some broccoli or some cheese and bacon and kind of like mellow down that flavor. And you slowly introduce them to a new food, and they love it over time. It works.
For those folks who are pretty much saying out there, all right, I want to feed my kids, but I don't have the time. Anything that you do to save the time to be able to feed your kids? And I'm not saying, go and buy the pouched microwave stuff, or everyone can do that. That's what everyone does practically. But for them to eat healthy and to eat well, to eat balanced, what are some ideas for time-saving tips that you have?
Right. So what I do, and it works pretty well for our family, I always plan ahead. I order my food like for the entire week on Sundays usually. And then I do Instacart. It just, comes overnight or comes on the same day, all the shipment. And then I just kind of prep ahead for the week. I have a meal plan from Monday through Friday for my kids. And then I just have fresh foods and then cut them up, process them, and make sure it's healthy, nutritious, well balanced. But it's all custom. It's all custom food. It's not like, here's frozen food. Here you go, guys, and eat this. No. I really care about what my kids eat. And it takes a lot of time. Don't get me wrong. It really takes a lot of time.
It sounds like your Sundays are consumed by meal prep, which is very common for a lot of Americans who do meal prep, which is a great day to actually work to cook together, eat a family meal. You have one more entity in that house, which is your wife. She also has to be fed, as well as you have to be fed as well.
Right.
So now you have 6 meals to pretty much prep. How do you get the two of you also into really kind of enjoy foods that you guys like as adults?
Right. So what I do, so basically my kids eat everything that we eat. We're not like, even if they don't like it, I still tell them, hey, at least try it, see if you like it. If you don't like it, I can make you something else. And most of the time they just love what we make. They're not, they just love it. And then whenever I make food, I make sure it's healthy, and it's not just for kids. And actually when I think about it right now, I actually make food for adults, and I just cut it up for like kids. I just make it smaller portions for the kiddos so they can enjoy the food that we're eating. So what I do, believe it or not, I actually tell my kids when I feed them something, I educate them at the same time. Like, what's in the food? Why am I giving it this food? And, why is dad paying a little bit more money for healthy food versus just buying frozen food, microwave food, and here we go, So I try to educate them. So when they go to school or when they go into public, they know. My 5-year-old knows what's good. Like, he knows what's good, what's not good. He knows what's organic. He knows what's not. Like, he can tell the difference.
We'll be back after this break.
At Duck Trap, we've spent decades perfecting the art of smoked seafood, blending time-honored tradition with bold new ideas. Now, we're turning up the flavor with something sweet, smoky, and just a little spicy. Introducing our new Hot Honey Atlantic Salmon, available in 2 ready-to-eat varieties, cold smoked or smoke roasted. Crafted with our signature mix of fruitwoods and hardwoods, and finished with honey and red pepper. It's a twist on tradition that brings the sweet heat in all the right ways. From snack boards to salads, or right out of the fridge, it's the easiest way to add bold flavor and quick protein to any meal. People can't stop talking about this craveable combo, and we couldn't wait to make it our own. Duck Trap Hot Honey. Sweet, spicy, smoky, and ready when you are.
Ben, you have a multicultural background. You're born in Germany. You have Mediterranean influence. Like, how did that all start?
Okay,
Who are you?
I was born and raised in Germany. My parents are Turkish, so I have a Mediterranean, heavy-duty background. And the way I was kind of introduced to food is the Turkish culture is very hands-on, fresh food, freshly prepared foods. Olive oil, olives, salads, everything is freshly made. That's how I grew up. My mom always cooked in front of us. She showed us how to, eat healthy, fresh food, and I'm kind of passing it down to my kids right now. I'm making everything from scratch. I'm trying at least, and then that's basically me. And then through all my travels, that kind of shaped me too. I lived in South Korea. I lived in Asia. I lived in Australia. I lived in England, and all these like influences and working these like culinary chefs and hotels and airlines. It really shaped me, to the person who I am today.
Yeah, and then you come to this American culture, and then you're just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Our culture doesn't really embrace
It's different.
necessarily. How are you feeling about what's ahead of us here in the American culture when it comes to food? I know it's evolving, but
Yeah.
boy, do we love convenience, we love speed, and do we love not eating together as a family at the dinner table? Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's such a fast-paced environment here. Everyone's busy. Everyone has like crazy work hours. Everyone's trying to keep up with everything and trying to feed the kids healthy and trying to catch up with work. I get it. And so, and one of the first things I noticed in America is a lot of sugar. Like anything fast food, anything given, or any like snacks, there's a lot of sugar that we don't need. That's something I actually noticed. Like even just buying bread. Germany is huge for bread. I think they have like, I don't know, 600, 1,000 different types of bread in the bakery. Here it's all sugar bread. So you have to be careful.
Well,
when you buy.
the crazy thing about here, and I lived in France for many years too, but
Yeah.
I mean, you go to the bread aisle, it's not refrigerated, and it's sitting there for weeks at a time. I mean, this is bread, real edible food, supposedly, that is just sitting there on the aisle, it's a little bit scary to think about it coming from the outside, obviously coming in and seeing the quality of food that we're seeing here. It's just it's a very different way of approaching food, and what you're doing right now is amazing because you are bringing your family, making sure that they see you cook.
Yeah.
Even small things like having them assist you in the kitchen as they get older, even with knives or whatever it is prepping. Those little things, and when they watch you cook, those make a difference. So as they get older, they'll absorb those values and they'll understand, like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. It's just very difficult to do it in a culture that doesn't necessarily have that embedded in them. It's a very young culture, the American culture, and but then you go to Europe, you go even to Mexico. Thousands of years they've been cooking there. The culture is like inside of their DNA.
I know.
And we just don't have that. And what we have here is this melting pot instead. So you have to kind of manage it yourself. And man, with 4 boys, that is quite some. You got some managing talent in there.
Yeah, thank you.
So now you have a partnership with Moe, of course, Moe Salmon. Tell us more about that. And they send you a little box of goodies. What's in that box, by the way? I could see it right there.
Yeah, they just I got this cool box here sent by Moe. Let me see what's in there. A tumbler. Oh, I get an apron too. That's pretty cool. I love it. Check this out. I love it.
All right, so Ben, you have all this cool little gadgets from Moe, but the most important thing is that you have salmon by Moe. Tell me more about how you like to cook salmon, and how did you get your kids to eat salmon?
So this is actually where I live. Fishing is huge, like in this area. Like I actually go salmon fishing with my family here. My mother-in-law actually just caught. This is actually Pacific salmon she caught yesterday. In the river. She brought me huge king salmon. She filleted it, and we cooked it here last night. And so my family is basically, we're born into like seafood, into like, salmon, trout, all that good stuff. And so Moe actually sent me one of the lightly smoked salmon over here.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really delicious salmon. I just use it for grilling. I put it in a skillet. Sometimes if I want to get a little heavy, like a little bit more smoky flavor, I smoke it on top of it a little bit. That's a really good salmon. And then they also send me...
Ben, I want to just stop you there for a second because this is what I love about the lightly smoked, and people just don't get this. So if you like the flavors of smoked salmon, but you also like regular Atlantic salmon, the typical that you grill or you cook or you put in the oven, this is a combination of both. So lightly smoked is actually still raw, but it has that smoked salmon flavor inside of it. And it just needs minimal seasoning on it because it already has a little bit of that briny saltiness to it. It's smoked salmon in salmon form. It's so hard to describe it sometimes, but you have to really taste it to believe it. What other cut of salmon do you like or do you use?
This is one of my favorites, actually. My family loves it. My kids love it. It's really delicious, and you can make so many cool recipes with it. Like it's great. And then, so they sent me a wild caught. This is actually a cold smoked sockeye salmon, and that's ready to eat. You don't have to cook that anymore. So I cheat a little bit. I make sushi with this for my kids. And then I also make pinwheel rolls. I make.
Oh yeah.
I just put it like in a fresh baguette and put a little bit cream cheese on top. It's just ready to go, and it's delicious.
Yeah, and that's by Duck Trap also, which and you have the Kendall Brook, also the other one, the Wild Caught, the Kendall Brook one. Seriously, some of the best smoked salmon out there that you can get.
I love it. This is great stuff. Yeah, they did a fantastic job in flavoring it and ready to go.
Yeah, and you get your kids to eat the salmon as well, because that's kind of hard to sometimes get the kids to start eating seafood and fish, but salmon.
Correct. So my kids, because we're so exposed to the seafood culture here, like the fishing culture, my kids are not weird about seafood or salmon. They love it. They love eating anything. I actually let me show you a couple things I just made them this morning.
Here we go. We got Ben here cooking up some. What? You've already put it together?
I kept a little bit for our show today, so I wanted to show you. So I actually, this morning for their lunchbox, I gave them these pinwheel rolls. I made it with that wild sockeye salmon, wild caught. And then the other one, I used the cold smoked Atlantic salmon for the sushi. So this is what I got in lunchbox this morning, my kids.
Amazing. I mean, okay, so they must be the envy. Like even the teachers must be coming in and saying, "Where did you get that from? You made sushi for your kids. You're embarrassing us all, Ben." I don't even think I would even have time to start making sushi, but it's easier than you think, right?
It's not that hard. I think it's a matter of choice and a matter of effort. Anything you do in life, it's not just food. It's always a matter of choice and effort. So I'm thinking long term. Like, do I want to invest into my kids' health? Do I want to pass them down cultures and traditions, or do I just want to let everybody else kind of teach my kids what to do, and they're going to be kind of stranded in life? So I'm really trying to.
If we have any viewers out there, Ben, who are struggling to give them some of this rich omega fat fish like salmon, what kind of tips would you give them to get them instigate the kids to start eating?
So if they're struggling to eat salmon, is that what he's saying?
Yeah, if a lot of kids just don't like salmon, how would you tell a parent like?
So if they don't like this, and if that's like too strong of a flavor, I would kind of gradually get them like into the seafood world, and then kind of maybe mix it, maybe like make salmon, like baked salmon balls, put a little bit of cheese in it, a little bit of broccoli, so it doesn't taste so extremely fishy or like that seafood flavor. So they kind of get slowly into that eating seafood. Give them a chance to try it first. And if they don't like it, do not force them, or they're going to hate it in life. You really just give them a chance to try it and see how it goes.
So how do people follow you on Instagram and all your other websites at this point?
So you mean like which platforms?
What is the name? What is your Instagram account so people know?
So my Instagram account is Dad's Food Today, and then I'm active on TikTok, on Meta, basically Instagram, Facebook, and then YouTube, Threads. Those are like my main accounts. And then I also have those side gigs, the DIY home lifestyle accounts, which is Time at Homes. I'm teaching it's about raising men, teaching my boys how to, I'm raising gentlemen, basically. It's all I'm doing. I'm teaching them survival skills, gentleman skills, household chores, all the good stuff. That's one of my side gigs. And I also have a travel account, which I wasn't active for probably 5 years because I had kids. I cannot travel right now. It's just too much. But we're going to hit the road next year again. We're going to do some culinary trips in Europe. I'm really excited for that. I'm going to do some, I don't know if I'm going to host classes yet, but I'm going to meet a couple culinary chefs abroad, and I'm going to collaborate with those guys. And also, I want to learn from those guys too. I know there's really good stuff in Europe, like, secret recipes, local recipes, grandma recipes, and I want to publish them in my account too. So I'm really excited for that.
Amazing. I have to say, your kids are so lucky. 4 is a handful, but it sounds like you have them under control. Everyone says it gets easier. I'm telling you right now, it does not. But it sounds like you're up for the job. You guys, as parents, are doing a fantastic job with the kids, feeding them well, making sure that family and food are integral to your lifestyle, and that's really important. We need more people like you in this world, Ben.
Thank you so much.
Ben DeCocker. Again, where do they follow you on Instagram?
Yep, correct. It's all on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Yep.
And it's Dad's Food Today. Is that what it is?
Correct. Dad's Food Today.
Dad's Food Today. Check it out, guys. Ben DeCocker on Instagram, Dad's Food Today. Ben, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yep. Thank you so much.
All right, folks. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please don't forget to subscribe wherever you subscribe to podcasts. This is Decoding Seafood by Moe. I'm your host, George Duran. Till next time.